this is our interview with Cody from Krigsgrav. They have a number of offerings, really been into the Sundering, as well as Fires of the Fall. Amazing records, really good musicians here. Reminiscent, if you love Black Braid, you will love these guys. And who would have thought? Out of Texas.
Yeah. All right, so check it out. Here it is.
So, first thing when we scout out bands, we just listen, and
Okay.
I like to run and just listen to random things. And you guys so impressed the both of us.
Right.
And we're like, they got to be Swedish. Look at the name, look at the artwork, listen to that music. They're Swedish. They're not Swedish.
Yeah, we're surprised. Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah.
So how did this wonderful melodic black metal end up coming from Texas?
We're all just huge fans of black metal and have been for a long time, and extreme metal, and we've been playing together in our separate bands in the scene for a long time, and they've had Krigsgrav for a while, and I joined in, and they were doing their own thing, like Justin and David. Krigsgrav was kind of way more, as they were doing a doomier thing for the album before I joined, and then I joined, and we kind of, I guess, kicked the energy with some melodic metal, kind of dissection, kind of vein, and that's kind of how we landed where we are.
Yeah.
With this current sound, because they've had a lot of different sounds throughout the years, going back way before I joined. But
Yeah, what part of Texas are you guys from? Dallas area or Fort Worth? Or
I am in Dallas. David lives a little north of Fort Worth, and Justin is from Belton, which is close to Austin.
Hmm.
We don't exactly live, in the same city, but we're all from here, and Justin grew up here, and so
I don't know, maybe I've just seen too many like Bill Hicks documentaries, but every time I see a black metal band from Texas, I think of like Bill Hicks talking about. I picture like the guy from Absu getting his ass kicked by rednecks, in corpse paint. I guess things have evolved since then. But,
You would hope.
It's pretty. Dallas is, because Dallas Fort Worth is a metroplex. It's so huge. We're kind of blessed with a really good scene. We got a lot of death metal, a lot of black metal, and just it's a pretty good culture here. I mean, maybe you go outside the city in a smaller town, yeah, people kind of look at you a little sideways, but here it's great.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had to corpse paint it up and be playing like a Mexican biker bar or something like that?
Oh well, yeah, I would say the one of the most long-standing metal bars in Dallas is actually a biker bar. It's funny enough, but we don't. I've only corpse painted up for Halloween. I've always kind of like, I'm not from Scandinavia in the 90s. I'm like, it's just not as genuine if I do it. That's how I feel. Like, no hate to anyone who does corpse paint, but
right.
I'm like, oh, I gotta just that I can't do that.
I did him up once. We were doing this promo piece, and we were like for the show, and he was like 20 minutes in, he's like, I want to itch my whole face. How do people do this?
Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I don't know how you could perform like that. Oh,
you can't touch your face. It's just,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's getting in your hair. It's like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And
then here in Texas, especially, it's so hot. If you have it on and you're playing, it's the sweat. It's just going to start running off.
So I heard a story that David actually came up with the idea of this band because his school was evacuated due to a bomb threat and he had some extra time. Is that true?
Yeah, that's the story. Because when we have bomb threats, at my school at least, everybody's evacuated to go sit in the stadium football stands, and we just sit there while they sweep the whole school. And the story is he was sitting out there with his friend, and it's like, I want to start this band, like this black metal, but he doesn't do vocals, like harsh vocals. He's an amazing singer, but so he asked his friend to do vocals, and they just they started out there.
When you guys play live, does David play bass or does he play drums?
He plays drums.
Drums. I'll tell you what, the drum sound, I know this is more a question for him, but the last couple albums of drum sound has just become huge. Did he do anything in particular to change that you know of, or?
So recording drums for him, we never used like a studio, so it's kind of like a mobile recordings. I mean, I'm not sure what he does as far as tuning his drums.
Right.
He just goes and plays. I mean, we just send it off to the last two albums to Finland to get it mixed, and Wolf's Throne Studios. Dude does an incredible job. It's really him. Just the mixing has been
That must be it. The way he's
awesome.
mixing.
Yeah, yeah.
I went back and listened to the early stuff, and I listened to the new stuff, and I was like, God, the drums are huge on these. There's this new stuff. So
yeah, and earlier stuff was more self-recorded, and it's like a lot younger. You don't have access to the equipment.
Oh yeah,
you haven't been able to afford it yet, and so it's really just us, I don't know, kind of growing up and being able to have means to get something better, a better product.
Yeah.
So when you first started, you were just like touring partners. How did that evolve into becoming a permanent member?
Well, so the first time I played with Krigsgrav, it was their CD release for I don't know, I played two of them. It might have been Carrion Fields and the one before that. I'm blanking on the name right now, but they asked me to play because we played in bands together, and I was like, yeah, I learned it. I played that show, and then we wanted to go on tour with my other band, John of the Mountain, and then Krigsgrav. Justin, he couldn't get off work, and leave his family to go on this big 21-day tour. So I was like, I'll just fill in for him again, just do vocals and guitar. And we had Corey, Wes, doing bass and guitars, David on drums, and I just filled in for Justin. Wasn't contributing musically, but then after that tour and other stuff, I mean, eventually years later, it was just David and Justin, and they were like, why don't we get Cody in and have another guitar again? And they invited me, and of course, I'd been saying for years I'd love to be a part of Krigsgrav, and so that's how it kind of happened.
Were you the last two like contributing towards the writing at this point?
See, yeah, I would say there's about 3 songs, and I wrote music for, and then 2 or 3 that I've done lyrics for. So yeah, I'm contributing, and every song they like kind of just hand me like, this is what we were thinking, and then I kind of do my thing and make it my own a little bit, and I'll throw in ideas. I do all my solos, of course, but
right.
Yeah, they do most of the heavy lifting, but I'm definitely in there, helping out.
Their solos are amazing. Did they come kind of like after, like they give you like a few ideas and then or do you already kind of have something in mind?
All the solos, I would say, well, for the songs that they write a song, and then they're like, this section right here at this time in the song, we're thinking of Cody solo, so just do your thing. And then they just point out which riff to solo over and when, and maybe like kind of, if they're like, do it, like maybe if they have an idea for how they want the solo to sound, maybe, but for the most part, I just go at it.
Really, really good. And
really.
You're in a lot of projects too. Are you still in tons of other projects as well? And
I mean, I have a few, yeah. Mostly, I mean, Giant of the Mountain was my band for years. We're not really active at the moment. We're not broken up, but we're just not really doing much. My other band, Argonauts, that's the one that I'm busy with. Like, I got practice later tonight. We play live all the time, way more than Krigsgrav. And then the others are kind of just internet projects that we send music and don't really get together, jam, or perform. But
what kind of metal is Argonauts? What kind of music is it?
Well, we call ourselves space metal, but it's kind of it's very theatrical. We have props and we're costumes and characters, and it's
awesome.
Space themed, and it's kind of like Devin Townsend and Meshuggah ish, but still it's more accessible. It's really fun.
That's a show. Yeah.
You get pyrotechnics involved?
Yeah, well, not actual fire, but we do have, like a CO2 gun that looks like fire, and we got all kinds of. We're just trying to come up with a bunch of problems. We got like silly string guns and bubble cannons, and
that's great.
It's a whole show. Yeah.
Throw a little bit of glitter on the drums. That always works well.
Yeah, lights, anything we can think
Anything you
of.
can do. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I had a question. So, and you might not know this, but your first two records, the Leviathan Crown and Lux Capita Est, they're not on Spotify. That usually means there's like a licensing problem. Do you know why they're not on there? Or does he just hate the records?
So those were no. Definitely doesn't hate it. I think it's more just they haven't paid to get it on there because it was self-released. So there's no issues with contracts or anyone else, but
Okay,
it's
right.
David. Uh, we're we're planning on redoing Luke's Cup to Est at some point, releasing
cool.
it again. But no, those are I would actually, if you'd have asked me, are those on Spotify, I would probably just said, yeah, probably, because I haven't looked, but
No, not yet. Not
they
yet.
were on there. But no, there's no issues with them. Those are still great albums, great
Yeah,
songs.
I checked them out, but I had to go to YouTube to hear them. So yeah. So.
Yeah. No, we still stand by those for sure.
Cool. Yeah, but I've asked that question before and had bands say, "Oh my God, forget that album ever existed." So that's why,
Yeah, I got some like that in my back catalog, but
So you can relate. You can relate.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider those anything like that.
That's funny.
I really love the cover art on this one. It just immediately said Druid to me with the fires and the woods and the
I said the Wicker Man. But
Yeah.
Very different than the Sundering, because that looked more like a apocalyptic city type
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's very I feel the same way. I love the cover. They did such a good job, like with getting the artist and really conveying what we wanted.
Do you use different guys each time, or like how do you pick?
I think if we're working with somebody that we really like, we'll stick with them. Or if we're like, we kind of think we want this style and maybe go with a different artist for a different feel. Not necessarily because we're not happy with the last artist. Maybe we just want somebody who can create a certain feel that is different from what another one is. But
we kind of looked out the guy who does our artwork. We found out that he's actually just really bored all the time. So he's always like entering contests and stuff. So anytime I ask him to do anything, the next morning he's like, "Here you go," and it's awesome. And I'm just like, "Wow, we're so lucky." He never charges us.
Yeah.
It's great. So.
I mean, if you find somebody that works, it's good to keep with them.
I know exactly. I was so surprised that we really lucked out on that. Except most of what he draws has to have tits on it. He's got a thing for tits, so it's like, could you draw this? It doesn't really have tits, and he'll be like, "I'll try." So.
He's great. Yeah. So, did the title of Fires in the Fall come from that Robert Louis Stevenson poem? Because that's the only thing I could find that was close.
Yeah, that's where the title came from, and that's something Justin was inspired by, and it really the whole like concept and feel like Justin. I think Justin was the one who really took that direction and like championed that the feel and the concept of the album, and I haven't read the poem. I know that it is from that though, but it's just about the fall is. It's like we have Halloween, we got Christmas, like we celebrate in the fall, and it's just it's inspiring, and it's also like mysterious, like I don't know. Yeah, it's the album. I mean, and it's not a concept album where everything runs, it's all one story, but it does all kind of revolve around that feeling of the veil being thinner in the fall.
Oh, definitely. Halloween, I think, is one of my favorite holidays ever. Mostly because you don't have to do much.
Yeah, we have like a whole week to celebrate it.
So, some favorite tracks, of course. I thought that this Fires in the Fall had a little bit more epic feel than the Sundering. Was the writing process any different, or just the thematics called for a little bit more theatrical?
I would say the writing process was pretty much the same. Like we all just, a song will come to us and we'll finish it out. Like one of us writes a whole song and then sends it to the group, and we'll, maybe we'll be like, okay, let's maybe do this at this part and kind of come to a consensus on how it should sound. But that's how the Sunbring was too. we all just, we'll all write songs and we'll throw them all up and put them on the table, be like, which ones make the album? Which ones, what ideas, what do we need to work on to make this one fit better, And that didn't change. It's just, I guess we did the Sundering and we got that out of our system. And then what we were just feeling was whatever happened on Fires in the Fall.
Yeah. I tell you what, I think it's really cool. You guys have this knack. You have long songs, but the album's not long. Like in this era of 90-minute Iron Maiden albums, it's great to see some brevity with epic songs. Like, do you guys ever look at that and go, we got to cut this out? This is too long. Do you ever how do you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we try to edit ourselves a little bit because I mean, we like not everything that we wrote made it up on this album,
Right.
but that's a good thing because even some some riffs are just, we love them when we write them, but when you get it on tape and it's just, maybe it's a little boring or it doesn't fit, maybe it's for later, and we just got to make one package the best package we can be. And 90 minutes is a long time to just sit down and listen to something. You got to think about like the average attention span of someone, even if you like to listen to albums, like after a while you're gonna kind of drift off or think about something, and it's I like to make that impact, and then before you get bored of it, kind of end it.
Someone's got to tell Hetfield that, someone's got to tell Steve Harris that. Come on, dude.
A lot of these
12-minute songs. Give me a break. It's like
it's like a lot of albums like that. It's like this album could have been really great if you'd have just left a few tracks off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this could have been just bam.
Right. I mean, I see 45 minutes. That's like a breath of fresh air. That's like the music I grew up on. Where you couldn't make an album an hour and a half long.
Right. We'll also, we wanted to do vinyl, and there is a time limit on that. And so we're like, okay, this is what we'll shoot for this, so we don't go over. But we'll also, if the music called for it, we would go over. Just worked out.
So I love When I'm Gone, Let the Wolves Come. It's so melodic for days, and it almost has like a tribal battle hymn feel without drifting into what my AI computer. You ever use the AI DJ on Spotify?
I have not. I actually didn't know they had one.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I was out running the other day, and he just announced randomly, all right, there's a vibe, and this vibe is pirate metal. And I was like, what? And I was good for about a song and a half. I'm like, okay. But this one doesn't drip there at all, but it still has like a tribal feel to it. Was it based on like any kind of folk song, or was it just a natural melody?
I mean, really, that's like folk metal. It has a big influence on all of us. So I wouldn't say that it wasn't my song. So I don't know if they had a specific like song they were trying to go for a vibe of, but I think it's just the influence that we have throughout our musical careers. We just vibe with that, and we just I don't know, I think a riff came up and it was that vein, and it was like, let's do that, and just kind of stuck with it and wrote a song around it. That's how most of it.
Incidentally, I fired my AI DJ when he played 2 Paul McCartney songs, not 1, 2.
Okay,
so I gave him his virtual walking papers and his virtual cardboard box. Yeah, I sent him virtually walking.
Yeah, I like pirate metal every now and then, just not a block of it.
Yeah, it's a little bit goes a long way.
I was like, okay, we're done with whiskey in the bottom of the ocean for right now.
Yeah, well, I'll stay away from my AI then on Spotify.
Yeah.
Another favorite track of ours had to be Shadowlands. It just starts so murky, and then it just kind of builds. I love that. The tempo changes. Do you find yourselves using those tempo changes to kind of create a story or a feel?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you want to start off with like, you can just feel how it is, and then you're like, you're ready to ramp it up, like something is happening. It's like the melody tells its own story, like the rhythms and the melodies, and without the lyrics at all being involved, you could tell a story. And that's absolutely a tool we use, changing the tempo and just to give a different feel and really tell the story of the song.
Yeah, I love the first song on the album, the way that it ends, where all those layers fall away, and it's just that one acoustic playing that,
Yeah,
and you realize that that's the backbone of the song. Really, really cool. Yeah,
yeah, that's a great moment.
yeah, it turned out really good.
It's also kind of neat the way I didn't realize, until I listened with headphones on, that there's David's clean vocals in there. I didn't
Yeah.
hear it at first, but it's neat the way. How did you guys decide to come up with that? Because it's such a neat. It's so subtle, but it adds like a lot of layers.
Well, David's singing parts are kind of the same way my solos are. It's like, okay, we're imagining David clean vocals right here, and then he'll be like, all right, I got you, and he'll go whip it up and send it to us, and we're like, perfect. And then when we're doing the mix with sending back and forth in the studio, we're like, okay, maybe a little lower or bring it up louder. And that's just what when we were listening to the previews of the mix, the volume of the vocals, that's what we thought sounded great. And David I think he did all those vocals in a day, and they just got perfect. Yeah, he just fucking whipped it out, and it was great. Yeah, he's a great.
Well, so we play a game on the show. This game. The game is called Blaspheming Monikers.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to give you, I believe it's 5 band names from the Metal Archives. One of them is fake. You just guess which one is fake. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's process of elimination, so you can keep.
Yeah.
guessing
So
if
if you just keep guessing until you get it right, or until we run out of bands, I guess. So okay. All right. First, Mad Muppets. Second, Sadistic Lobotomy. Number 3, the Anal Treatment XX Experience. Mozart on Crack. So that's 1, 2, 3. It's just 4. All right, so 4.
Mozart on Crack.
Let me see. I think they're real. Yeah, they're real. They're electronic metal from Australia. They have one album from 2004 and one EP from 2005.
The Muppets. What was the Muppets one?
Mad Muppets.
Mad Muppets.
No, they're real. They're a thrash band from Switzerland. They have 2 mid-90s demos, so they don't have a lot, but
maybe they got the crazy baker note that goes. No.
The second one sounded real to me. It's about lobotomy.
Sadistic Lobotomy.
Yeah, but let's guess that one since the other one.
Yeah, good job. That's the fake one. Yeah.
See, that one sounded real. That sounds like a death metal band.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Death metal band,
Yeah, that's the key. Like the ones that I make up are usually not that ridiculous. Yeah. So, and then the other one was the Anal Treatment XX Experience. They're actually from Greece. They play grindcore, and they have a full length called Inhuman Anal Exploration.
See, I thought that one was going to be real.
It's so hard. That random band generator, I could just do that for hours. Just can't believe the names that some of these bands come up with.
I know. Yeah. It's hard. You think you come up with a good name, and you search it, and it's like, God, there's already 4 of those.
There's that, and then there's the other thing that I really like is when I do the random band generator thing on Metal Archives is when everybody dressed up except Larry. You know what I mean? Where everybody's corpse paint or whatever, and one guy's not. He's like just wearing like a Misfits t-shirt or something. He's like I didn't know that I was supposed to dress up. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like my high school yearbook picture from the cross country team. Somebody forgot their uniform, and I'm in a Great Adventure t-shirt.
Yeah, actually, you know what the best example of that is, I think, is if you ever really look at the Black Sabbath album, Sabotage, right?
Yeah.
The one with the mirror. That's pure Spinal Tap, because like Tony Iommi sits down, he's so pissed off. Ozzy's in costume, the other 2 aren't, and you could just tell you're like, wow, there's a story here.
Yes.
Something happened. Yeah.
I think at that point they were like, just take the picture.
That's why Spinal Tap's so great, because shit like that actually happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that's all like based on real events.
All based on real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know how he came up with Wargrave in Swedish as the name?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. So I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, he was in Norway for Inferno, their Inferno festival. and he was just watching TV in the hotel, and they said something about it was like a documentary, and they were talking about war graves, and they said Krigsgrav, I guess, and he was like, "Oh, all right, that's a cool band name."
He had to go to Scandinavia to figure
Yeah.
it out. It's great.
I could be wrong. He might have that might have been in the States, but I feel like that's the story. I
Okay,
haven't
gotcha.
Yeah.
I love the logo. It's just hairy enough, but you can still read it. You know.
Yeah.
It's not really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was they got that done by the guy who does all the logos. His name's like Christoph. I can't pronounce his last name. I would have to look at it, but you know, he does so many famous bands logos. But they
Yeah.
got him to do it. They put, you know, so yeah, he is the Lord of the logos.
Lord of the logos. Yeah.
I love your ladies' leggings. I was already coveting them.
It's all about the merch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have to go through and stalk everybody's merch. Usually I end up getting it. So, what touring plans do you have coming up, if any, if you know of?
We have a show first time in over a year in September, kind of in Houston area, at Southern Star Brewing, and that's really it. It's hard to tour because you know they both have kids and everything, and I would love to hit the road, of course, but you know it's a little harder for us. We don't live close, so we don't gig a lot, but we do want to play live, and we are feeling the itch.
Yeah.
I was hopeful. I saw years ago you had come to Baltimore and played the Depot, so I was like, hey, maybe there's
yeah, that was a great time. Yeah, that was 2016. That was that tour I filled in on. So I was, you know, double duty every night. That was a great tour. I would absolutely love to do that again.
If you could make a lineup, like a fantasy lineup for you guys and maybe like 3 other bands, and they can be existing or non-existing, who would you put with you guys to go out on a crazy tour? No holds barred.
I would say I would definitely want to go on tour with Falls Araros because we played with them, and you know we hung out with them, had a great time, and that'd just be a very fun tour, and they're a great band. There's I mean, you know, there's so many bands that would be great. Enslaved, I mean, just dream bands. Enslaved, Emperor, you know, of course those bands. Let's see, who would be more niche, like more like us, like Woods of Ypres. That would be a dream band to go on tour with. You know, that's one of my all-time favorite bands. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are all good choices.
Yeah, that ever-flowing vessel really made me think of Black Braid with you guys. You know, it's just and I saw, you know, you even posted, I think, on Facebook about he's just amazing. We're hoping to catch
John also did not do well on blaspheming monikers, just so you know. He was on the show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that would be
that the REO rape wagon was not real, and sadly there is a band called that.
That's a creative name.
Right, exactly, like right to FM radio, you know.
All right, yeah. Yeah, Black Wave would be a great one to go on tour with as well. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I could definitely hear that running through that song. I was like, wow.
I mean, you know, I would definitely say that we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Those two bands for sure.
So outside of, do you think you guys will? I know this just came out, fall in the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's you just have such a prolific discography. You know, I can definitely see you guys doing more. So hopefully we'll lure you out onto the road a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to, you know, and I got messages probably a week after this released. Well, I know it's early, but I've already started on a song, you know, and they're already writing. Right. Just
I believe it. Yeah.
Just, you know, never stops. But you know,
how far out does Argonaut? Is it Argonauts?
Yeah.
How far out do they go? Do you guys ever come to the East Coast?
We haven't yet, but we would love to.
I'm suddenly intrigued by this band. Yeah.
Argonauts is definitely more likely to be on tour, I would say. You know, we play live all the time, at least once a month, and you know, we're working on new music too. But yeah, I would love to tour.
That's cool.
Argonauts for sure. It is a fun time.
Who do you have on repeat right now on your Spotify playlist?
I don't want to butcher the name. I would say here, let me look at it. So I got it right here.
Okay.
So I don't say it too wrong. Blood tar. Let me try to read that. Because blood tar, I would say Blodtar. It's an incredible album. Just came out this year, and Fimbulvet or Fimbulvet.
Okay.
Another great album, and I've been listening to a lot of some speed metal stuff. Air Raid and Enforcer did some pretty good stuff this year so far. Vomitory has been great. I've missed Vomitory. Very happy that they're putting stuff out again. Yeah, that's
so much good music coming out.
So much good music.
Yeah. I try, every Friday when music comes out to go through all the lists on the sites and see what looks like I might want and put it on my playlist. But I don't get around to it as often as I wish I could. But I've still gotten some great releases.
What's that one Enforcer album? Was it Dirty Diamonds or Diamond Nights or whatever? God, that's such a great record.
Actually, I hadn't really listened to Enforcer.
Oh yeah,
this came out and I was like, oh, check that out.
They have so many good albums.
Yeah, so now I need to go back and.
They're like a band that they're like Frozen in Amber. Like they could have been around in like 87, 97, 07. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. If you told me they'd been around since the 80s, I'd be like, oh, I believe you.
Yeah.
They look great.
Yeah. They got the look, they got the sound. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, with band names, we did this for our rock and roll show, this band from Italy, and we actually did a small piece on them before we interviewed her. And we thought the band's name, because it kind of runs together, was It's Alley.
Mm-hmm.
And when we interviewed her, their band's name is It's a Lie.
Oh, there's no way to know. No,
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's hard. Half the band names I think I'm pronouncing wrong. I just gotta hope that I see them live and they're like, all right, we're so and so, and I'm like, that's how you say it.
Yeah, it's really hard, because I can write the review for a band, especially if they're from France or something.
Yeah,
and you can't go online and find out how to pronounce it right. So then when you say it, you're thinking, do I sound like an idiot? Saying this wrong?
Maybe
there's no check and balance for it.
I've gone and tried to YouTube interviews with the band, hoping
right. Yeah. Tell us how to say your name.
Yeah.
Oh well, I guess there's worse problems in the world.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. We love. Yeah. I've loved getting into your back catalog. I love everything you've done that's on Spotify so far. So keep it up and think about touring. Maybe we'll be there.
I'm gonna go check out Argonauts.
I'm all about it. Yeah. I'll try to push them into playing live a little.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.